February the 22nd, 2026. As you're looking at live images right now, and this is Times Square, New York. There's a couple of things that catch my attention, but the reason I'm going here, I'm starting to see more and more snowfall. There's quite a bit of people out for the storm that's coming, and we could be looking at nearly 20 inches. Could break records going back for quite a while. They're calling it a bombogenesis now. I'm going to show you the satellite images. What's happening is the Atlantic off the coast of New York up into the northeast there is still warmer than it should be. I think it had a lot to do with the lack of tropical activity last year. And so there's moisture being pulled out over that warmer air at the same time that a cold front, actually an Arctic vortex, has dipped all the way down into where we're at in central Mississippi. We woke up to near freezing temperatures this morning. Clear but cool. It is up to a real feel of 44 now. Again, we're going to look at that. What's happening, it's colliding off the New York coast there along the northeastern shores with the cold air moving north, warm air moving south. And that warm air has a lot of moisture with it. So it's kind of just like a Doppler tornado effect or whatever. When you get those opposing fronts colliding and moving in different directions, that's where you get the big storms. Now, I can't help but notice a few things here. Another reason I wouldn't want to ever go here. One is, look at the big screens. I guess all the buildings now that are on behind there, all of their windows, if you have an office, you're just staring at the back of a screen. But and look how bright the ones are on the top right. And guys, it's daytime there, but imagine at night. But if someone had a meter like the one we use for the electromagnetic field meter, walking down through there, they would probably turn around and get off of that block really quick. Imagine the EMF coming off that size monitors, guys. And another thing, it's me, this is the Disney building over here. Now they got a deal going on here called Hades. I can't tell what the red thing is here, but notice up here on the right, the camera's not tilted all the way up, but we can get enough of it when they change just a rotating ad, again on the Disney building there, and it talks about burn it all down. There it comes right here. Look at this. Now, pretty rough looking. Burn it all down, hard to read there, but that's March the 27th, 2026. Burn it all down. Now are they trying to mind program the masses? You remember the movie? And the movie 1984, guys, it was black and white, but they were the same type of programming. You had that one image of, I guess, their supreme leader or whoever it was, constantly bombarding them with information. And then you see it in newer movies, some of these Schwarzenegger movies and things like that, where they're in a futurist type cities and you see this complete billboard bombardment. Again, it looks like programming. And when you add that programming to the electromagnetic field radiation there, guys, people just don't think. And it's a shame, but the reason I came here was to see what the weather was like before we go into this bombogenesis. But here's, again, Times Square. Now, these are current satellite images over the northeast. Again, this is the cool front, that Arctic vortex dip, guys, and a lot of you felt it colder than we did. I can tell by this, and you can tell the difference once we start looking at the infrared and the moisture images. But you've got a low pressure right here that's winding this up, and right here, look at that fast spin. This is the collision point between this colder wet air and warmer wet air right here. And I've said it many times, guys, there's always winter consequences for lack of hurricanes that cool off the Atlantic or the Pacific in that case. You can see this is the cooler air. Look at the coloration here. Again, this is going to wind up. We were just looking at New York. Here's Long Island right there, and we were looking right into Manhattan. So this is what we're seeing there. It's not that heavy yet, but we're going to look at some of the different models, and you're going to see the amount of snow that's about to pile up in there, and if you're smart, you're going to buckle down, hunker down, stay off the highways, and be prepared. And guys, you can see as daylight comes, watch this cooler air retreat back as the sunlight hits it. But this is cold air. You can tell the way that it collects, the way that it moves, the way that it looks different from the moist air that is not that cold offshore. Again, this is the collision point. Here's Long Island, and that's what you're starting to see. This is much lighter than what they're predicting by the time this mass in the purple, it's moving fast, shifts right into this system. Now, this is one of the more accurate models out there, guys, and this is giving us Sunday and Monday, today, tomorrow. Purple area is a mixture. This is snow, but watch as we get into tomorrow to look at this, and we're going to look at another model that extends further out. Start icing up, and again, the timestamp is up here where it's Sunday. I'll tell you when it changes right there to Monday. And then this is going to pile up. See, this is Long Island right there. So it's going to be coming in on you guys from the northeast, just like a nor'easter. And it's going to be very wet according to this model and some of the other ones. Again, this goes through Monday. Look at that. Looks like a small hurricane once it gets started offshore. Well, not actually that small, and it is rotating in the right direction. But this is a bombogenesis or bomb cyclone. One of the things is the very quick drop in pressure. That you get a certain amount, I think, 24 points in 48 hours or something like that. I can't remember exactly. I have to look it up, but that's one of the requirements. And then the heavy snow moisture. All of those things have combined to make this one of the record breakers. This model, guys, goes out until Wednesday. Again, look at along the northeast coast there, low pressure setting offshore, pulling all that warmer moisture into that cold front. Now we're looking at Monday as it's starting to pull further north. Check that out. Tuesday now, pulling offshore, but you got another front pulling in from the left that comes sweeping through on Wednesday. So that's a secondary front. Now the cold air is going to be in place during that event also. So you got this stack up with these big blue surfaces, or the bluer areas. That's where the deeper snow is. And if you look at that, you're talking over 20 inches easily with some of those darker blues. The scale is right there. See that? And then because the cold air is in place, you're going to get a second wave. Doesn't look as heavy, but just be prepared for it. Now, this update's about 30 minutes old. It says life-threatening nor'easter with blizzard conditions to rage from Delaware, New York City to Boston. A rapidly strengthening storm will shut down much of the northeastern U.S. from Sunday to Monday as snow is forecast to pile up with blizzard conditions in coastal areas. Again, you see the snow already in Times Square. And guys, I misspoke. Now that I remember correctly, if you drop 24 millibars of pressure in 24 hours, and that's what they're expecting, that becomes a bomb cyclone, or some call it bombogenesis. But anyway, a storm moving along the northeast coast will explode into a bomb cyclone from Sunday to Monday, unleashing the first blizzard in years for coastal areas and part of Interstate 95 corridor from near Philadelphia through to New York City and Boston. Even though the storm may begin as rain in some areas, especially along the coast, on Sunday or Sunday evening, a quick transition to snow is forecast for most locations. Again, the rain is turning to snow, as we just saw in Times Square. This will be the first blizzard for much of the mid-Atlantic and southern New England coast in about 4 years. This is coming from AccuWeather. They're saying the last time in New York City that they had blizzard warnings was February the 8th and 9th back in 2017. And the storm brought about 9.4 inches of snow to Central Park in Manhattan. And this is going to be at least twice that much, possibly more. You saw that color coding getting into the mid 20 inches as we looked at the models going forward. It will create heavy snow and winds that threaten to shut down travel in a heavily populated, heavily traveled region of the nation. Now, guys, the airport's already jammed up because of the budget cuts or the non-funding, non-renewal, or whatever. But TSA agents now are having to shut down one of the main pre-flight searches and record checks and push everyone into a narrow line. And not only are the lines in the airport backed way up, but the traffic just to get into the airport locations is backed up for a long way. And it's a terrible time, people trying to get out, they're missing flights. The airports are packed inside, out, no parking. Long way to just get in the line to get into the airport facilities. So that's happening up there all along the area. That's going to shut down travel, and so this is the time to hunker down. I don't know why people won't pay more attention to the weather. If you're going to be flying during a bombogenesis or a bomb cyclone and it's not an emergency, then you need to quit watching CNN. Big time, guys. Quit watching that mess. Now, you guys there, back on January 24th through the 26th, you got a lightweight, dry, powdery snow. This storm, due to its heavy weight and clinging nature, will make shoveling difficult and dangerous for some individuals in poor health. I saw a video, I can't remember where it was exactly at, may have been up in Minnesota. Anyway, there was a guy riding around one of his small tractors, kind of like a four-wheeler with a snowplow, and he was helping a lot of his neighbors, wasn't charging them to clear their driveway so they could get out and things like that. If you have that capability, or a small tractor with a front-end loader that can handle it, think about your neighbors in that area. You know, everybody, you don't want to see the old folks out there laying dead from a heart attack and freezing to death. So if you can, keep an eye on that, especially the elders. They're saying with the storm and its snow and wind blasting wet, the major hubs in the Northeast, there's a potential for many flight cancellations from Sunday to Monday. Again, TSA is shutting down a lot of the lines. The flights that do operate will be subject to extensive delays due to de-icing operations and runway maintenance. Now, by Sunday afternoon, more than 3,000 flights were canceled across the U.S. for Sunday, and 4,000 have already been canceled for Monday. I don't know if all of that's storm related or the TSA backlog related deal. Now, the storm is forecast to experience the bombogenesis becoming a bomb cyclone by early Monday, tonight after midnight, guys. Very simply, it's a storm where its pressure again drops 24 millibars in 24 hours. As pressure decreases, the storm intensifies and the wind and precipitation increases as well. Because of the storm's anticipated rapid strengthening, again with the barometric pressure plunging at least 0.71 of an inch or mercury of 24 millibars in 24 hours or less, it will track close to the coast to bring around a foot of snow and locally higher amounts along I-95 from Philly through New York City to Boston. Hunker down, guys. Airports are shutting down. Don't attempt it. Don't become a casualty. Take a look at this forecast. This goes from Saturday night to Monday evening. That's how they set it up. Snow max 36 inches possible in certain areas. Look at this, 18 to 24 here in the pink. But again, the overall max, they're expecting 36 inches. And it's where we were seeing those deep blues and that rotation like an offshore hurricane as it was starting to come ashore. And again, it was looking from last night until tomorrow night. They're saying it may even be greater amounts of snow on the coast and well inland if the storm develops to its full potential and slows its forward speed. Snowfall rates of 1 to 3 inches per hour at times may overwhelm road crews, leaving you stranded. Again, leaving some motors stranded from mid-Atlantic to southern New England. Further inland, snowfall would be significantly lower, but enough to shovel and plow from eastern Tennessee and the North Carolina mountains to much of West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and southeastern Maine. Guys, if you're watching in the comments, come in and just, you don't have to tell us your exact location, but give us a general idea of where you're at and what the weather is now, if you can. Wind gusts will frequently reach 35 to 60 miles per hour along the mid-Atlantic and New England coast. Despite the wet nature of the snow, winds will be strong enough to cause extensive drifting in coastal areas. That's really going to be hard snow to shovel out, guys. The clinging nature of the snow and the high winds will put a strain on trees and power lines with extensive power outages anticipated. Guys, I know you're in the Northeast and you're used to the cold and you laugh at the Southerners down here because we complain about it getting down to freezing. But again, when you've lost of power, probably a lot of you have alternate heating. But if you're somewhere where you're not at home that doesn't have it, like a hotel that only has electricity or something, motel or airport, it may be a different situation. And this is the map of what they're talking about. Widespread in the maroon areas. This is Boston, coming all the way down to cutting across Long Island there and down towards Philadelphia. Then regional outages in the orange and localized outages all the way out through here down to Ocean City. See that, guys? So again, that's a lot of people in this area. It's very thickly populated. I think there's about 40 million that can be impacted by the storm. Not all are in this map, but altogether, that's a lot of folks. And while we were looking at that satellite radar, guys, I was pointing out which way the direction of the wind was going to be coming in from the northeast over Long Island. It says the strong northeast winds during part of the storm will qualify it as a major nor'easter. The angle of the winds will push Atlantic water towards parts of the coast for a time, leading to minor to moderate flooding at times of high tide from Delmarva to New Jersey, New York, and eastern Massachusetts. Significant beach erosion is expected from Delmarva down to Massachusetts. And now it's going to be a little different from the January storm, guys. Blustery and colder conditions are in store for Monday night, Tuesday in the northeast. But the February sun effect will bring some natural melting for several hours on Tuesday. Maybe you won't have to shovel as much, but you have to watch for a little bit of flooding, things like that. Anyway, this will be a striking contrast to the aftermath of the storm in mid-January, which was followed by weeks of persistent cold. Still freezing cycles at night will lead to fresh areas of ice on streets, sidewalks, and parking lots on a daily basis this week. So you're going to have that thaw effect, slush, and then a refreeze, black ice, things like that. Traveling, guys, I hope you've got it all done. And this is the coastal hazard map, guys. It's from Sunday evening through Monday evening. You can see a much wider area up from Haven Hill, Boston, down to Providence, right there off Nantucket, and then all the way from New Haven, all the way around Long Island, down to Toms River, Atlantic City, right into this area. Again, strong wind gusts, beach erosion, dangerous seas, coastal flooding near high tide. So check your tide charts, things like that. But be prepared. This is a lot of area also right along the coast. But we'll just have to see how strong the winds are. And like they said, high tide is critical. It's almost, well, it is like watching a hurricane come ashore. You have the same problems, high tide with a storm surge. Same thing's happening here. Anyway, guys, we're watching it. Watch for updates on this. It's already going downhill. You can tell from the webcams. It's a heads up. Be safe.